Welcome to a special National Signing Day edition of SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, every year there's something different that gets added into National Signing Day now. Social media more prevalent than everything, but I know it all goes back to all the work that you do, in the weeks and months leading up to this day.
Well, first of all, JJ, that's a great point because it's worked by a lot of people. We really involve a lot of people in this process. And the first thing I like to do every year is thank all the people involved. And I'm not just talking about the great job our staff does, but everyone at the university that pitches in to help us recruit the kind of young men that we can all be proud of, that are going to have an opportunity to be successful here and help our football team win championships in the road to come.
And we'll announce those that have signed the national letters of intent. There'll be other players joining the program. NCAA rules, you can't be talking about them, but again, talking about the guys that you do have today, I know many of them are coming in, and they're very good students in the classroom as well.
Well, you look at this signing class of 24 players out of high school, and half of them are going to receive some type of academic scholarship to attend Saginaw Valley, as are some other guys that are walking on our football program that we're not allowed to talk about that are also receiving academic aid. So that's one of the things we always look for. First and foremost, we're recruiting student athletes, and they've got to be a student first. And, some of these young men come in with very good credentials from high school and are able to get academic money. And at the same time, there's others that don't quite have the academic credentials that it takes to get the scholarship from an academic standpoint. But obviously, the only reason we recruited them is because we think they can be successful in the classroom and compete in the classroom.
And in addition, we'll go through the high school players first. Also have some transfers joining the program that you're announcing today as well. But getting into those high school student athletes who have committed to SVSU for football today. Start on the defensive side and bringing in 3 players on the defensive line.
Well, that was one of the points of emphasis for us, is to get some big guys that could, be great against the run and also chase the quarterback down. And we're really high on these guys. Number one, Kyle Campfield. And we went to Ohio to get Kyle. He comes from a great program, Springboro. Really athletic defensive tackle, has gained weight over the course of his career to the point where I think he's going to be able to hold up very well inside in this league, but also has great athleticism. When you watch him run, the effort he plays with, it's outstanding. The other player we got from Ohio is another defensive tackle, Mark Williams from Gahanna, which is a Columbus area school. Mark had a great career down there, played for an outstanding program. Once again, what you're looking for, a guy that's big and has that strength factor, but also moves real well and can chase down the guy with the football. Locally, we were able to get an outstanding defensive end from Grand Blanc, Keontae Williams. And Keontae's got length. He's got great explosiveness off the ball. He's a basketball player, so that just speaks, I think, to the type of athlete he is. And once again, the type of guy that can create outside edge pressure against the pass rush or against the pass protections, and still be a guy that can contain the run and make explosive plays.
So 3 players coming in on the defensive line, and then at the second level on the defense, bringing in 5 players at the linebacker position.
Linebackers are so multidimensional. First of all, if you look at your special teams, your kicking game, loaded with linebackers. And I think a team full of outstanding linebackers is going to be a team that wins a lot of games because I think, number one, they're always going to be the leaders of your defense. They're right smack there in the middle of it all. And every single one of those young men, I think, were great leaders on their football team. And as I mentioned, the other areas they can help us is in the kicking game. And if you look at I think the improvements we made in the kicking game was due to the fact that we've got a strong linebacking core, and this is only going to make it stronger. First of all, Anthony Gunn, the first young man I want to talk about, outstanding as far as his athleticism. In high school, he played a bunch of different positions, anywhere from safety, running back, receiver, tight end, and linebacker. So I think he's going to be a real dimensional player, has great athleticism, quickness, and big playmaking ability. Daryl Clemens played at Loyola. They won, they've been in 3 straight state championship games, won the last one, was a great leader for them. Did it all, was all over the field, played on the outside mostly, and made a ton of plays. Interceptions, returns with the ball in his hands, and a lot of big tackles. Kevin Earls is a young man out of Springboro, another player from Springboro, Ohio. Kevin was the player of the year in their area. and big, long, can cover a lot of ground, runs real well, physical player. And in order to be a player of the year, you had to make a lot of tackles. He was extremely productive. And so it's great to have Kevin Earls. Jack McKillop, inside linebacker at Clarkston, another state championship guy. We brought in 4 guys from Clarkston. That's a good thing because they've won 2 straight state championships now. But Jack was the leader of that defense. Physical, hard-nosed kid, and one of those guys that you could see it on the field was the leader and the backbone, I thought, of their entire defensive group. And then the other guy that's a really dynamic player is Justin Whitted out of Farmington Hills Harrison. And you know, all you got to do is turn on the video of Justin. You see him making a lot of plays in the backfield, a lot of tackles for loss, explosive player. Harrison liked bringing him off the edge quite a bit. And, you know, so those are 5 guys right there that I think can do a lot of damage. They're going to be physical. They're going to run. They're very productive. They're all good tacklers. And what we saw out of them was great leadership qualities.
So 5 players at the linebacker position, and then behind them 3 players in the defensive secondary.
You know, what we needed to do, I thought, was get a lockdown cover corner type of player. And we went to Oak Park, and they've got a player there that we're bringing in, Marvin White. And the thing that stood out about Marvin was not just his competitiveness, because I think that's the key for a corner. A corner's got to be the type of guy that's going to challenge people, can't be afraid to get beat deep, he's got to have a lot of confidence, and you could tell that with Marvin. But the other thing you saw were great ball skills. He's not the biggest. He knows he's got to get bigger, but he's physical. He plays big. He goes up and gets the football, and he's got pretty good length. So I think Marvin's going to be a guy that's going to get in the weight room, put some muscle on immediately, and really help us be that cover corner that we were looking for. Austin Egler is going to play safety for us, and he's from Clarkston. He played both ways. He's got great length. He's a tall, long-arm guy, very athletic, great speed, and great ball skills. Played receiver for them, also played safety, covered a lot of ground, and was physical. And I think the sky's the limit for him just because you look at he hasn't played a ton of football, and I think his potential is great. And the one thing you see, and it's similar to guys we've recruited in the past, and I don't want to compare him yet to a Jeff Heath or a Jeff Janis, but he's got that body type. And you know he's the type of guy that if he can get in the weight room, he's going to get big fast and be the type of long safety that you're looking for that can cover ground and be physical. Now, Joe Newman, who we got out of South Lyon, two-way player, receiver, corner, great quickness, speed, ball skills. You saw him accelerate with the football in his hand, wasn't afraid to come up and hit people, made some picks where he went up and got the football. So I think those 3 guys really fit the needs we were looking for in the secondary.
Switching to the other side of the ball on offense, bringing in 1 player starting at quarterback.
Well, you know, we've liked Donovan Stewart for a couple years now. Number one, he's from Wyandotte Roosevelt, and his high school coach, Ron Adams, I like the offense they run there. Ron Adams was a quarterback at Eastern Michigan. I think he's a great coach of the quarterbacks, and Donovan's a very polished high school player. And the other thing about Donovan, that besides his playmaking ability, you saw him make great plays all year. I thought was, you know, the inspiration for that entire football team. When you watched him on the field, you saw the guy that got that team going. And they made the playoffs each of the last 2 years and had great records. And, I saw those leadership qualities in addition to that. He's not only a leader in that sense, leader by example, but he's also a guy that gets his teammates going. And you know, what you're looking for out of that position is not just a guy that can be productive, make plays, because Donovan does a great job of extending plays and so forth and throwing the ball all over the place. But what you see is a guy that can get his entire team fired up, ready to play. And that's the type of inspirational type of player we were looking for in that spot.
And then also bringing in 2 players at the running back position.
Well, we've got 2 really fast guys. You know, our emphasis was at the skill position this year offensively, JJ, is to make sure we got very fast football players. Myrick L., Michigan Collegiate, pretty good-sized guy. He's only going to get bigger. He's got a good frame on him. Ran the ball real well for them. I thought was one of the top players in the state without question. And I think what Myrick is a great combination of a guy that can do different things, can catch the ball out of the backfield, is physical enough to run over people, can run around them and make them miss. I think he's got great vision, and I think he's got a great upside. Tommy Scott Jr., played for Muskegon Catholic, 2-time state champs. Another extremely fast guy, reminds us a little bit of Tim Hogue. He's got that quickness and that ability to make people miss. He's explosive. I think for a guy that doesn't have great size, he's a Tim Hogue size type of guy. 5'8", 5'7", 170 pounds right now. But he's strong. His lower body is extremely strong, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that fits that role like Tim did. Guy that can get out of the backfield and make a lot of big plays as well as run between the tackles.
And then also bringing in 2 players at the tight end position.
Logan Friedel's out of Eisenhower down there in Shelby Township, Utica area. And, Logan, we really thought 2 things. Number one, we watched him in camps over the summer, and we saw a guy that moved around and caught the ball like a receiver. And, ran routes like a receiver, has great hands. Ball skills are really good. But the other thing you watched when you watched him on film and then saw him in person, he's physical. He's an extremely physical football player. Doesn't shy away from contact. So I think he's going to fit the role. I'm not going to say he's Andrew Dillon necessarily or Galen Stone, but cut out of that same mold in being a guy that's going to be able to hit people at the point of attack, but also get down the field vertically and make the big play. Josh Shelke, on the other hand, was a high school quarterback. Played for his dad at Harbor Beach, won a state championship a couple years ago, and I thought was a great leader on their football team and an extremely good athlete. We brought him in, we worked him out, and Josh is one of those guys, extremely bright kid as well, and a great leader, hard worker. Wanted an opportunity, said, you know what, Coach, I see myself as more of a receiver. And you looked at his body and you say, this is a guy that's going to get big, and we think he can play tight end on the inside for us. He's extremely athletic. The other thing I really liked about Josh is he played with great effort. I mean, he was a guy that sold out. He's a winner, and he's going to do the things it takes to win football games and help his team win football games.
And then also looking at those playmaking threats, bringing in 3 players at wide receiver.
All of them very fast guys, JJ, and that's the thing that impressed us the most about the 3. I'll start with Harvey Cadell Jr. Harvey averaged about 28 yards a catch for Loyola. And once again, Loyola is more of a running team. They ran the ball to win a state championship, but when they needed a big play down the field on 3rd and long or 4th and long, or they got in the red zone, they went to Harvey. And the thing that's impressive about Harvey, he's not just a fast wide receiver. His highlight film as a safety is as good as any we've seen. And so I think he's a dimensional guy. He's a tough guy. He's a physical football player. And he's the deep threat you want on the outside. Michael King, on the other hand, is extremely fast, but he's got that quick, fast twitch muscle fiber. He's more of an inside receiver. For us, he reminds us a lot of Nick Galino. He's a guy that I think we can put on the inside, can run those corner routes, can throw the bubble screen. He's going to make people miss. The other thing Michael does extremely well is in the return game, I thought he was outstanding. He made a lot of big plays. And you're talking about a guy that I think his first 7 or 8 plays on his highlight film were all long touchdowns. So he's an explosive playmaker, the type of guy that we need in this offense. Jeremy Gates, pound for pound, I thought was one of the toughest players we saw all year long. He did it all for Southfield. That's a very good football team that made it to the semis, and he played running back, receiver, and really carried the load for that football team. And his brother's here, Gerald is here playing for us right now, and as a running back. And the things that stand out about all 3 of these guys that I think are consistent with Gates is the toughness, the playmaking ability, the speed and explosiveness, and then the ability to change the game and help their team win.
And then also you need to make sure that it all starts up front offensively and bringing in 5 players on the offensive line.
Yeah, and you know what? Exactly. That's where it's all started. I thought last year's class of offensive lineman was very good, and so is this one. I'll start with Trevor Curl. And to understand, every one of these guys, I'll tell you what all 5 guys have, and Trevor's got it. They've got toughness that they play with. They've got a mean streak. You see them hitting people on film, and you see them enjoying making those big hits. And that's what you're looking for out of linemen. You're looking for feet, and you're looking for aggressiveness. And Trevor's got it. Played at a great program in Eisenhower, a team that's perennially in the playoffs. And then the other thing that impressed me about Trevor is went to see him play basketball, and he never came off the court. He's a big offensive lineman that's got great feet and great athleticism. Adam Matich played for Clarkston. We two offensive linemen from the state champs, Clarkston, Adam Matich and Alex Snyder. Matich, I thought, was a heck of a football player in terms of his ability to play with great leverage. He's got great feet. He's quick. He's agile. I think one of the things you look for in offensive linemen is how well they're going to move when they get to the perimeter and they get to the second level, and then fundamentally how they are. I think he's a very polished player, and he's a tough player. So I think outstanding offensive lineman in Adam. The other guy is Hussein Cadeau. And Hussein is literally one of the meanest guys I've ever seen on film. I smile when I say that, but 4 or 5 of his first plays are all him knocking someone down and doing it, with some aggression to it and an attitude. And once again, you see him move, you see his feet, then you see that aggressiveness. You put these guys in the weight room and you see how strong they are, and they fit what you're looking for. Kennan Moore, same thing. Flint Powers, great program. His father played here for the Cardinals back in the late 70s, early 80s. And, one of the things that we really noticed about Kennan was just his ability to fundamentally move his feet. I thought technically very sound. Coach Ancona had a chance to work with him during camp and during our workouts here. And you saw a guy that was very coachable. And once again, had those other qualities. A guy that was knocking people down on his highlight tape, a guy that was very physical, moving his feet and moving people off the ball. Alex Snyder's probably the biggest guy of them all. I thought, once again, he was a guy that's come on. Didn't play as much as a junior in Clarkston's program, but stepped into a full-time role this year and was outstanding for him. Physical player, big, strong, wide, really plays with a wide base and has long arms and has those things you're looking for out of a tackle. So I think all 5 guys have similar qualities. They're big, they're strong, they're fast, they move their feet, and I think they play with great persistence. That's how I refer. They're not guys that just hit and stop their feet. They're guys that want to finish blocks, and that's what you need.
And one of the things that you've referenced a little bit, but you look at this high school class and multiple players from Clarkston, multiple players from Eisenhower, multiple players from Detroit Loyola. You got other programs like Muskegon Catholic Central, Harbor Beach have sent a lot of kids to SVSU over the years. How much does that factor into your thinking and your evaluation?
It factors in big, JJ, because we're looking for guys that have that foundation of winning. When they step on the field, they expect to win. They do the things in the off season and during the season that it takes to win. And then the other thing about those guys is they're competitors. And what I mean by that is when it gets to the fourth quarter and everybody's tired and the game's still in the balance, these are guys that have been down that road before and aren't going to accept anything but a victory in that situation. So I think that's the personality you want in your program. The other part of it is the thing we've already talked about. So many of these guys are extremely strong in the classroom. And I just think those two things go hand in hand. A guy that's going to compete and achieve at the highest level on the football field is going to be the same guy that wants to get it done in the classroom in every other area of his life. And that's the thing that's impressive about this group and exciting about this group. We mentioned social media. That's the other great thing right now about the recruiting process is through social media, I think there's already a connection with this group. And I think that's as important as anything when you're bringing in a recruiting class is for there to be some chemistry. That feeling that now we're one, we're part of a family, and together we're going to help each other become the best we can be and help Saginaw Valley be the best it can be.
And then in addition to all of the high school players who are signing their letters of intent today, also 5 transfers bringing into the program. 4 of them already here, in fact, and enrolled currently in the winter semester.
And that's one of the advantages you have with the early signing period with junior college players. You can bring them in, get them signed, and get them here early. And the 2 that we were able to sign, Alan Barnett from Yuba College, who's a defensive end, and Juan Soto from Ventura College. Juan is a wide receiver. I'll start first with Alan. Alan was the all-area player in junior college in Northern California, was second in the state with 15.5 sacks. So it was everything you're looking for out of a defensive end to have an opportunity to have an immediate impact. And really that's what you're hoping for with a junior college player is for him to be able to come in and impact your program right away. And so Alan fits that. Then Juan Soto, is a receiver from Ventura. Had a great career there. Is from the Miami, Florida area. Allen's from Tampa Bay, the Tampa area. One of the things that I thought was really important for us to attract these two young men from the southern climates was having our indoor facility, having a facility where you can show them a picture of an indoor football field and they know that inside there is 70 degrees and sunny every day. So I thought that was important for us to be able to track both of them at the same time. They both are strong students, got their associate's degree, and I think they're going to make an impact in our program. Two other players that were initially junior college guys that transferred to four-year schools and now have transferred here. Brad Odeman is a quarterback who went to Ventura College, then went to San Diego State and joined us in January. And already I think Brad's had an impact on the program in terms of leadership, hard work, and fitting in and helping with everything that's gone on this past month in terms of off-season workouts. Vic Vernon, defensive end, played at De Anza. Connection with Brian Fobbs helped us get Vic Vernon. He was at San Jose State. Things didn't work out as well for him, and he made a move because of academic reasons. They didn't have the major he wanted, and he just made a decision to come to Saginaw Valley because we did. We've got an outstanding business school, and Vic's made that transition. He's another guy that I think is going to be an explosive type of player for us. At 6'3", 270, playing the defensive line with his size, strength, and speed, he's obviously going to be a player for us. The fifth guy is a guy that we just signed today that won't be joining us till the summer is Greg Hughes. Greg is a 6'7", 340-pound offensive tackle from California, who's originally, or from Ventura College in California, who's originally from Tennessee. Greg's a big, strong guy. His coach told us this statistic, which is amazing. Out of all the snaps he took in 2 full years as a full-time starter at left tackle, he only gave up 3 sacks. That's pretty dang good. With his length and strength and his ability to move his feet, I think he's got a great opportunity to help us in that offensive line.
In summary, what does this program do now for you going forward as you try to bounce back and start working on a much better 2015 season?
Well, I think there's 2 things. Number one, the momentum that we're building right now after the end of that season. Here's the thing. When you're a program that expects to win and traditionally does win, and you've recruited people in your program that fit that mentality, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy or satisfied with the type of season we had in 2014, and they're going to immediately want to do something about it. And that's what we've seen. That's the type of momentum we've started to build since December. And it's going to keep building. And I think if you look at where we are today as opposed to where we were last year at this time, and I credit the mentality of our players and the attitude of our players right now, as well as our facility, and allowing us to do that. I think, moving forward, as long as we stay on this track, 2015 is going to be a good year for us. The other part of it is the recruiting aspect. I think the recruiting helps you build momentum as well. When you're bringing outstanding high school players in your program, as well as some impact transfers, that does nothing more than create competition in your program, but also really, I think, solidify, where we are as a program. That's one of the things you think about after you have a not so good year like we had, JJ. What you worry about is there going to be a slip in your program? And we've seen none of that. We've seen a step forward in our program. So I think all these things are good signs, but at the end of the day, you just got to keep working.
Hopefully everybody does continue working, and now at least for the recruiting, a lot of the work is done, perhaps not all of it. I know it obviously continues past today, but Coach Collins, congratulations on at least having all of these players to be able to introduce as new Cardinals.
Thanks, JJ.
And we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have enjoyed this signing day edition of SVSU Red Alert.